This story is set in the 17th century, where a rich and distinguished boy lived a life of luxury with his family. Everything seemed perfect, but fate had something else written for him. His life completely changes when a dangerous vampire curses him, transforming him into a terrifying creature, and then buries him alive in a coffin. But the secret doesn't end there. One day, 200 years later, he suddenly breaks free from his grave and returns to this changed world. Now the question is, how did the boy stay alive for 200 years, and what was the real motive of the witch who cursed him? In today's story, we will uncover all these mysteries. So the story begins in the year 1760, where we arrive at the tale of the Collins family. Only 3 people lived in this family: the parents and a young boy named Barnabas. Barnabas's family was immensely wealthy. His father had a large fishing business in the sea. They established a new town on the seashore, some distance from America, and named it Collinsport. Barnabas's father often advised him, "Family is greater than wealth. Always protect your family." Soon after, they built a magnificent mansion for their family, which was named Collinwood, and their business began to flourish rapidly. During this time, Barnabas had grown up and become a young man. In these days of his youth, his life took a dangerous turn. There was a maid working in the house named Angelique. Slowly, a relationship blossomed between Barnabas and Angelique. But this relationship was soon to reach a dangerous end. One day, Angelique plainly told Barnabas, "I love you immensely, and now I want to spend my whole life with you by marrying you." But Barnabas coldly rejected her. Hearing this, Angelique's love turned into hatred. She resorted to black magic for revenge, and, on a terrifying night, killed Barnabas's parents by toppling the mansion's huge statue. Barnabas realized that this was no accident, but an act of black magic. He too began to rely on dark books to understand this mysterious power. During this time, Barnabas found his true love, Josette. Their love was true, it was pure. But Angelique could never tolerate it. She again uses black magic and takes control of Josette. Under the influence of the spell, Josette walks toward a high cliff. Before Barnabas could reach there, she jumps off the cliff and takes her own life. Seeing his love die in front of his eyes like this, Barnabas also breaks down and jumps off the same cliff. But he doesn't die because Angelique had cursed him, an immortal curse. He was no longer human, but had become a vampire, a creature that can never die. Now Angelique knew that killing Barnabas was impossible. So she incited the villagers. The villagers arrived with fire and weapons. They caught Barnabas, locked him in an iron coffin, and buried him in the ground. And thus, 200 years passed. The time then moves to the year 1972. A girl named Victoria is coming to Collinsport by train. From the station, she takes a lift in a car and reaches the Collinwood mansion. She knocks on the mansion door, and the servant Willie welcomes her. Inside the mansion, Victoria's eyes fall on an old photograph. The same face, Barnabas's. Out of curiosity, she asks, "Who is this?" Just then, the lady of the mansion, Elizabeth, arrives and tells her, "This is Barnabas Collins, the most noble and great member of our family." Here we learn that Elizabeth is also from the same Collins family. She had placed an advertisement in the newspaper saying she needed a caretaker to look after her brother Roger's son, David. Elizabeth introduces Victoria to the mansion. She tells her that now only a few people live in this huge mansion: me, my daughter Carolyn, my brother Roger, and his son David. When Victoria asks about David's mother, Elizabeth sighs deeply and says, "She drowned in the sea." But David could never accept this truth. He thinks his mother is still alive. He can see her and even talks to her. After this, Elizabeth introduces Victoria to her daughter, Carolyn. Carolyn was a little mischievous and stubborn girl. At dinner, Elizabeth introduces Victoria to David's father, Roger. Another person is sitting at the dinner table, Dr. Julia, a psychiatrist by profession. David still claimed that he could see and talk to his mother. Because of this, Elizabeth had called Dr. Julia, who had been living in the mansion and treating David for the past 3 years. During this time, Victoria notices a white sheet-covered figure a little distance away. She thought it was David trying to scare her, but when she removes the sheet, it is not a human but the ghost of Josette standing before her. The ghost says only one sentence: "He is coming." Saying this, the ghost slowly moves away and suddenly disappears. On the other side, some laborers were excavating with a JCB. Suddenly, they feel something hard beneath the ground. After removing the soil, a coffin appears, the same coffin in which Barnabas was imprisoned for 200 years. As soon as their supervisor cuts the coffin's chains, Barnabas is freed from his captivity. As he emerges from the coffin, he attacks the laborers and kills them one by one. After this, Barnabas returns to his home, the Collinwood mansion. In the garden, he meets Willie. Barnabas hypnotizes him and takes control, asking, "Does the Collins family still live in this house?" Willie nervously answers yes. Then Barnabas enters the mansion. His eyes fall on the mansion's royal items, and he looks closely at everything. He tells Willie the real story of these things. During this time, he meets Carolyn and David. Carolyn thinks he might be a madman or drunk, but David straightaway points to Barnabas's old photograph on the wall. Seeing the picture, Barnabas stops and says, "Yes, this is my picture. A great artist painted it when I stood here." Just then, Elizabeth arrives and orders the children to stay away from Barnabas. David says he is claiming to be their relative, but Elizabeth considers him a fraud. She takes Barnabas to another room in the mansion and sternly says, "If this is a joke, end it here." To prove his truth, Barnabas opens a secret door of the mansion and takes Elizabeth inside. Through that path, they reach a secret vault where a lot of diamonds and jewels were kept. Elizabeth is astonished by this sight. Now she is fully convinced that Barnabas is none other than the true son of the Collins family. Barnabas tells Elizabeth the truth, that he is a vampire, but he also promises that he will never harm any member of his family. After this, the whole family gathers at the dinner table. There, Elizabeth tells everyone that Barnabas is their distant relative. Just then, Dr. Julia also arrives, and Elizabeth introduces her to Barnabas. During dinner, Barnabas asks about his old fishing business. Elizabeth says with a heavy heart, "Our business is almost ruined because a woman named Angelique took over the entire business by dealing with the fishermen." Hearing this, Barnabas looks at everyone with intense eyes and says in a firm voice, "I am here now, and I will take the Collins family business back to its heights." Meanwhile, Victoria comes there. Seeing her, Barnabas pauses and suddenly calls her Josette, because Victoria's face exactly resembles his lost love, Josette. After a while, the two talk to each other, and Victoria introduces herself. Then the story shows us Angie. She is actually the same Angelique who ruined Barnabas's life. Centuries ago, with the power of black magic, she had become a witch and had been living for 200 years in different forms by changing her name. She reaches her office where she receives news that a 200-year-old coffin was found during excavation last night, and all the laborers were brutally murdered the same night. Hearing this, Angelique's face loses its color. She goes to the spot herself and is convinced that Barnabas has returned. Then she goes straight to the Collinwood mansion. She meets Elizabeth there, but just then, Barnabas comes forward and shakes her hand. In that moment, a spark of recognition ignites in their eyes. Barnabas understands that this is the same woman, the same witch, Angelique. After this, Barnabas takes her to a room and talks about the business. Angelique smiles and says, "Now this business is mine, and I think you recognize who I am." Barnabas glares into her eyes and says, "Yes, you are the witch who took everything from me, my parents, my love. You destroyed everything, and I will have you imprisoned for the crime of black magic." Angelique laughs loudly and replies, "You can't do anything like that. No one will believe you, because I have been living with respect in this society for 200 years in different forms, and now Collinsport is mine." Angelique leaves from there. As soon as she leaves, Barnabas tells Elizabeth everything. The pain is evident in his voice. "This is the woman who killed my parents and snatched my love from me, and I couldn't do anything." Elizabeth looks into his eyes and says in a firm voice, "Barnabas, you still can. You can rebuild this business and take the Collins family to the height it once was." After this, Barnabas first gets his mansion renovated. Broken walls are erected again, and by decorating them with beautiful paintings, he makes the mansion regal and magnificent once more. To expand his business, he takes Willie with him and meets the big fishermen, and with his mysterious power, he hypnotizes them, forcing them to leave Angelique's side and work for the Collins family. As a result, his fishing business starts to flourish rapidly again. But during this time, Dr. Julia becomes suspicious of him. One night, she sees Barnabas peeking into Carolyn's room and looking at the lamp kept there with strange eyes, as if trying to understand it. Julia stops him and talks, saying, "I am a psychiatrist. I treat the mind." With her skill, she hypnotizes Barnabas herself and learns his true reality, that he is not a human but a vampire. When the truth comes out, Julia talks to Elizabeth and says, "I know everything. Barnabas is a vampire. Why did you still keep him in your house?" Elizabeth takes a cold breath and says, "Let this secret remain a secret. While he is here, the family members will not have to face any danger." Meanwhile, Barnabas is trying to learn from Carolyn how to love in this new era. Carolyn smiles and replies, "First, you have to change your look and strange behavior. Live like a normal human being, then you will see that love will teach you itself." The next day, Dr. Julia goes one step further. She takes Barnabas's blood and assures him that by injecting human blood into him, she can turn him back into a human. In a scene by the sea, we see Barnabas and Victoria walking together. It was clear from their eyes that they had started liking each other. Meanwhile, Angelique holds a meeting with her business partners. Everyone complains that their business is constantly falling because Barnabas's business is growing rapidly. Angrily, Angelique says, "Arrange a meeting between Barnabas and me." In the evening, she meets Barnabas and hands him a check, saying, "Take this money and leave the fishing business." But Barnabas rejects her offer. Then Angelique comes closer to him. She tries to persuade him and says, "We will do business together." She flirts with him, and eventually, both vampires become intimate. But Barnabas's answer remains the same. "I can never forgive what you did to me." Meanwhile, Victoria has a terrifying dream. In it, she sees her childhood, how she used to see and talk to Josette's ghost from a young age. But her parents considered her words madness and sent her to a mental hospital. Waking up from the dream, she sees the same ghost in front of her. She follows her to the mansion's large hall. The ghost climbs onto the chandelier and jumps the same way she committed suicide years ago. The next day, with everyone's consent, Barnabas hosts a grand party at the mansion and invites many people from the whole city. The gathering is at its peak. Just then, his eyes fall on David. David is standing outside a room and says, "Father has forbidden anyone to go inside." Hearing this, Barnabas suspects something is wrong inside. He secretly climbs onto the window and peeks, seeing David's father, Roger, having a rendezvous with a girl. Barnabas realizes that Roger is being disloyal to his own family. Meanwhile, Victoria is standing outside. Barnabas goes to her and asks her to come inside. But Victoria starts telling him the dark truth of her childhood. She says, "I used to see the ghost of a girl since childhood, but my parents couldn't understand it. Because of this, my childhood was spent in pain and suffering. One day, the same ghost brought me to Collinwood, and when I met you here, I felt as if I had known you for centuries. Maybe it was my destiny to meet you. Now you feel like me." Saying this, she slowly comes closer to him, and they kiss each other. But Angelique, who had arrived at the party uninvited, was watching all this from afar. After the party, Barnabas goes directly to Dr. Julia. There, he sees that Julia is injecting the blood taken from his body into herself. Only then does the truth dawn on him. Julia was pretending to turn him into a human, while in reality, she was trying to become immortal herself. Enraged by this deception, Barnabas kills her right there, and, with Willie's help, throws her body into the depths of the sea. That same night, Roger is trying to find a secret door in the mansion, but Barnabas catches him. He already knew that Roger had only married David's mother for money. He gives Roger two choices. First, stay here and take care of David as a true father. Second, take money from the treasury and disappear forever. Roger chooses the second option without thinking and leaves the mansion forever, abandoning his son. Seeing his father leave, David cries and runs toward the stairs. Just then, his foot slips, and a heavy chandelier begins to fall on him from above. Barnabas reaches there in the blink of an eye and saves David's life. Everyone is stunned because such speed and strength were beyond any human, but then a ray of sunlight falls on Barnabas, and his skin starts to burn. Screaming, his body catches fire, but Willie immediately throws water on him and saves him. After this incident, the truth is exposed to everyone present in the mansion. Barnabas is truly a vampire. People stare at him in fear and run away from there in terror. Victoria also now understands that he is no ordinary human, and out of this fear, she too slowly starts to distance herself from him. After this, Barnabas goes straight to Angelique and pleads with her to free him from this curse. But Angelique laughs coldly at his words and says, "You only have two paths. Either stay with me, be my lover, and run this business with me, or rot in that coffin forever." Barnabas rejects her offer and says, "I can never be yours." Hearing his words, the hatred in Angelique's eyes deepens even more. She mentions Dr. Julia's name casually, as if deliberately provoking him. In his anger, Barnabas confesses that he did kill Julia. This was the mistake Angelique was waiting for. As soon as Barnabas leaves, Angelique uses her black magic and instantly locks him in the coffin again. She ties his whole body with thick iron chains so he cannot get out again. Then she orders her men and drags Barnabas, coffin and all, to his own fishing factory. There, she sets it on fire. The factory burning in flames and the sky filled with smoke seem to testify to her victory. After this, Angelique hides Barnabas, along with the coffin, in a broken, dilapidated ruin in a dense, deserted forest, and leaves with a cold smile. But fate had other plans. As soon as Angelique leaves, David arrives there, led by his mother's ghost. The little boy gathers his courage and opens the coffin's chains, freeing Barnabas. On the other side, seeing the burning factory, the police and the whole city had gathered there, and right at that moment, Angelique comes to the microphone in front of everyone and announces, "I heard it with my own ears." Barnabas himself confessed that he killed Dr. Julia. Her voice echoes amidst the flames and the screams of the crowd, and the whole city starts believing Barnabas to be a dangerous killer. Angelique also tells the police in front of everyone that Barnabas is a murderous vampire, and that his family members are just as guilty because they hid this secret and deceived everyone. Hearing this, the police go straight to Collinwood Mansion. As Angelique steps in, Barnabas appears with red, angry eyes and pounces on her neck, sinking his sharp teeth. But her body is unaffected by his attack. She laughs coldly, uses her dark powers, and throws Barnabas so hard that he hits the wall and falls. Seeing this, everyone is horrified. People now believe that these two are not humans but dangerous creatures. The police immediately order everyone, "Get out! It's dangerous to stay here," and the whole town starts running out of the mansion. Now a terrifying and destructive fight begins between Barnabas and Angelique, in the middle of the mansion. Barnabas attacks her, but Angelique blocks every blow. Just then, Elizabeth picks up a gun and fires straight at Angelique. The bullet lodges in her chest, but after a few moments, Angelique stands straight again, as if nothing happened to her. Now she uses her magical powers, fully. The mansion's old things, chairs, statues, effigies, all come alive one by one and start attacking. She releases a poisonous snake on Elizabeth, and fire erupts in the whole hall. The mansion, engulfed in flames, becomes a house of death. In this chaos, a large effigy comes alive and tightly grips Barnabas. He struggles but cannot get out. Just then, the real truth comes out. Angelique had previously turned Carolyn into a ferocious wolf with her dark powers. Suddenly, Carolyn's body shakes. Her hands and feet turn into paws, and her eyes shine red. Growling, she pounces straight at Angelique. A fierce clash begins between the two. Carolyn tries with all her might to reach her neck, but Angelique's power was much greater than hers. She grabs Carolyn and slams her to the ground, knocking her unconscious with a magical blow. Carolyn's body lies motionless there. Now the mansion was ablaze. Elizabeth was struggling with the snake. Carolyn was unconscious, and Barnabas was trapped, and Angelique's victory seemed almost certain. After this, Angelique goes to Barnabas and is about to finish him. She says with a cold laugh, "I destroyed everything of yours, and David's mother didn't die by drowning. I killed her." Hearing this, David comes and shouts, "Leave him, or my mother will finish you." And then suddenly, David's mother's ghost appears. Her spiritual power attacks Angelique. Angelique hits a huge chandelier and falls to the ground. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Barnabas is freed from the effigy's grip and orders everyone to get out. After this, he reaches Angelique and realizes that the end of this wicked witch was written by this chandelier. In no time, Angelique is destroyed forever amidst screams. But the story doesn't end here. On the other side, Victoria is walking toward the same cliff from where Josette had jumped. Her heart is broken because she now knows that Barnabas is a vampire, and a human and a vampire can never be one. Just then, Barnabas reaches there looking for her. Before she falls, he bites Victoria. But Victoria says with tears in her eyes, "We can never be together, because I am a simple human. Now there is only one way left. Turn me into one of you too." Barnabas is tormented by this but refuses, and the next moment, Victoria jumps off the cliff. In a final attempt to save her, Barnabas bites her just before she falls. This time, Victoria does not die. Instead, she also becomes a vampire. And now, after centuries of loneliness, Barnabas and Victoria are finally the same. They smile at each other, because now their togetherness is forever. But one more terrifying twist remains in the story. In the depths of the ocean, we see Dr. Julia's body. Suddenly, her eyes open, because Barnabas had bitten her too, and now she has also become a vampire. And with this cold silence, the story ends here.